So today we have got Lee Smith, stand-up comedian, been finalist and a semi-finalist in comedy shows. Lee, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's going on in your world?
Hi Nat, thanks for having me. Um, yeah, I'm a stand-up comedian. I've been doing it for 3.5 years now. Must be coming on to four. Um, just kind of I started off. It was a bit of a giggle and stuff. People have been telling me that I should do it for years, and eventually I kind of fell into it, and I've been doing it ever since. But I travel about like all over the place. We put on shows locally. I run my own shows. It's just something I always wanted to do. I just started it quite late.
No,
Like,
I mean, you say that about quite late. I must admit, I'm late to the writing scene for script writing. But what point in your life did you start realizing actually people sort of are laughing at the things that I say?
um,
Has that
I
always
mean,
been there at school?
yes, at school and stuff, it was kind of Um, there's the cliche about like using comedy as a defense mechanism, but I mean, I went to an all boys school in Gillingham in Kent, and it was very much a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, it was very Lord of the Flies, my school. So you had to have something about you, like to kind of survive. Not to be too dramatic about it, but yeah, it was difficult. It was hundreds and hundreds of boys all in one sort of area. So yeah, you had to, and I was always like one of the smallest and youngest in my year, so
Mm.
I had to have something.
Yeah.
So I kind of developed that, and it was always something that I like to do. There's just a buzz of making people laugh.
Mm.
I've always enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And was it the fact that did you go along to watch stand up and think, you know what, I'd really like to have a go? Is that how it started for you?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I grew up watching a lot of stand up. My uncle had a load of was well into stand up, and he had all these VHSs like to show my age, like just hundred things like Eddie Murphy and Billy Connolly and like just all these like great comedians.
Yeah.
So stand up was like to me it was like they were rock stars. Like
Yeah.
it was like everything, like just to be up on stage, just on your own on stage and have like hundreds and hundreds of people laughing at everything you're saying.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, it was a huge draw for me. Like it was something that I always wanted to do, but I'm an anxious person.
Mm.
So for years, that kind of like that was the voice in my head was always like no.
Mm.
um so it wasn't until sort of much later on, well, like 3 or 4 years ago, that I kind of pushed it
Yeah.
and tried it, and loved it. And I wish I'd done it earlier, but
Oh.
brain wouldn't let me.
Oh God. No, it's so brilliant that you've overcome that though, because I can't even imagine what it must be like to just you're on your own. You're standing up there on your own. Can you remember your
Yeah,
first gig? What was your first gig like?
yeah, I can. It was Southampton. It was what's the theatre in Southampton?
Mayflower?
The Mayflower, but there's a pub next to the Mayflower,
Yeah.
called the Mayflower something or whatever. But it was there was a downstairs room. Basically, what it was like, my friend Glenn Brayley, who's also a
Mm.
comedian on the circuit, he we'd been talking, and I'd said like he'd been doing stand up, and I said I wanted to, and he kind of we got together and we was writing some stuff. But in my head, I was always like, I'm not really going to do this, like, so I'll just humor him and it will be fine, and it will go away. And then one day he messaged me and he said, "Oh, I booked us into a gig in Southampton," and I was like, "Oh." Um, so, so I had to kind of push through the fear,
Yeah.
and I went and did it, and it was in this downstairs room at the Mayflower pub, and it wasn't packed. There was like probably about 15 people in there.
Yeah.
There's about eight other comedians and stuff, and I got up, and I just at that point my 10 minutes was just a story about when I was 14 years old and I got arrested for being drunk. Like, so that was my whole set. Um, and it went well. Like people liked it. There was enough punchlines in there that people were laughing, and that was it. Really,
Yeah,
that was yeah. I think if I'd gone up and died horribly,
yeah,
like, I
yeah,
don't think I would have ever done it again.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but it went well.
Oh, that's brilliant, and that's brilliant. And obviously, I haven't watched you before. That's the type of comedian you are. You tell a story, and it's
Yeah.
based on your life, isn't it? And it's fun without being horrible. It's really funny because we're not that we're laughing at you, but your
Nice.
storytelling is just absolutely spot on. And I think you come across as such a lovable character. You draw on the fact that you're anxious. I know that
Yeah.
that's sort of I picked up on that, and all I could think all the way through was, how's he doing this when he's so anxious? He must be mad, you know? But brilliant. It's really, really good. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
did you have like a comedy hero? I know you said Billy Connolly. So the way he tells stories, is that what inspired you to say, right, okay, it's that type of stand-up that I want to be. I want to be a storyteller.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, Billy Connolly's like the goat
Yeah,
for me. He's
yeah,
yeah, he's just the that natural sort of storytelling ability. It was always that was kind of always the comedy that I was drawn to. I
yeah,
love like all aspects of comedy. I've got friends of mine who are fantastic one-liners.
yeah,
And there's and the absurd type of comedy, sketch comedy, I love all of it.
yeah,
Um, but I very much gravitated towards that storytelling.
yeah,
Um, and there's kind of something like really nice about like having a beginning, a middle, and an end rather
yeah,
than just a straight joke.
yeah, yeah.
Like and with lots of punchlines like all the way through. I love that.
So
But
three
yeah,
and a half
very
years,
much.
4 years on, what's your process around what you pick out to form your what 10-15 minute segments that you may have to do your set?
Yeah,
I mean, do you
yeah.
go into the
Generally,
supermarket and think, oh yeah, that made good one.
yeah. I'm constantly aware like of things, and if I do something stupid, then it goes into notes on the phone.
Yeah,
Like it's uh, I think there's like some people when they do something embarrassing or awkward will just want to forget about it, whereas I'm like, oh well, I can use that.
it's wake
Um,
wanting to be stupid for the day or do something stupid. Yes, it's brilliant for comedy, isn't it? Really
that's it.
disappointed if it's a normal day.
Oh, I hate it. But
Oh,
yeah, it's constantly I'm forever like jotting notes down and stuff.
yeah,
I have a terrible habit of just writing like 2 words or something just to try and get the note in there quickly, and
yeah.
then coming back to it weeks later and being like, I don't know what that means. Um, um, but yeah, it's constantly. I'm trying some new stuff because I've got the Shaftesbury Fringe coming up
Yeah,
in June.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think, and I'm doing. I used to do like I think when you saw me there before, didn't you?
yeah,
I did like a double header with Glenn
yeah.
before, whereas now I'm going to do my own show,
Okay.
and it's very much it's about it's called "Is This Adulting?" and it's basically about how the concept came was like when you're a kid and you look at your parents, you look at grown-ups, and you think at some point your adult brain will kick in, and then you're an adult, like, and then you know how to do stuff like mortgages and bills and like buying a house, like all of those things, like, and it just never happens. Like, it's just stuff that you kind of pick up on the way, and then even when you're doing it, you're not 100% sure you're doing it right. um so that was kind of the concept of the new show, like, and just how I fail in my eyes, in my own eyes, how I fail at being the grown up I always thought I would be.
Oh, I can't wait. I really can't wait because definitely back at the Shaftesbury Fringe again this year. It's a brilliant,
Oh, I
brilliant
love it
event. Yeah, it is really good,
then.
isn't it? How do you cope with it? Actually, I'm going to come back to this. This wasn't a question, but
Mm-hmm.
think you talking about Shaftesbury Fringe reminded me. I remember when I came to see you both when you were doing your double header show. There was lots of people just walking in and out.
Yeah,
How do you
yeah,
cope with that? Because it was that sort of environment at that particular weekend purely because of the weather.
yeah.
Because it was horrendous, if you remember rightly. It was like
It
the
was.
sort of
Yeah.
green sky and downpours. Um, and I just wondered how that affects either delivery or do you feel that you're quite developed now that you just walk off the duck's back and you can just bat it away with a comment?
Yeah, to a point. I mean, I think I remember that gig, and it was just like I just kind of ushered people in, and I was
Mm.
sort of chatting to people as they came in and stuff. Um, it's difficult. It's when you're about to hit a punchline. If
Yeah,
something happens, somebody walks in then, or somebody says something, it can derail the whole joke.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it's frustrating. But I mean, that's the issue with what we do is because
yeah,
you're performing it to the public. Like you get things like people who walk in, you get hecklers, you get like drunk people.
yeah.
Like it just you kind of have to expect it. See, I'm still not great with. I'm getting better.
Mhm.
But hecklers was always like my kryptonite. Like I didn't know what to do. Like at the
Yeah,
beginning, I was like, "Oh God, this is." I was
yeah,
always overthinking it, like in the
yeah,
moment. Whereas now I'm a bit more used to it, and like I'll just fire something back, like or just just deal with it.
yeah,
But yeah, it's because stand-up comedy specifically is like it's very much there's a lot in delivery. There's a lot in
yeah,
like how you bring out the punchline. And if it just takes something to completely derail the whole joke. And if you've had a long setup
yeah.
and
Um,
then somebody ruins that punchline, it's infuriating.
yeah. And that's what was going through my head when I was watching you.
Yeah,
With these people coming in. But you definitely both dealt with it really, really well. And I just thought, God, I don't think I'll be able to cope with that. I don't think I'll stick to the writing.
I
No one
think
can interfere with me when I'm doing that. But yeah, I just thought I would ask you about that, as you mentioned, Shaftesbury Fringe. So going on to about what you're doing now, I mean, you set up your own night now, haven't you, at the Blue Boar? Tell us a bit more
yeah.
about that. How did that come about? What made you want to do that?
Um, well, I used to run a couple of nights last year over in Southbourne.
Mm,
A friend of mine asked me to do them, and I put them together. And I enjoyed them, but they kind of ran their course.
yeah.
Um, and then and I was pretty much after that. There's a lot. I don't think people realize quite how much work goes into kind of putting your own night on,
Yeah.
getting all the acts, like posters, like promotion, all that stuff. So I was very much like, I'm just going to perform and not do my own show again. And then a friend of mine took over at the Blue Boar,
Oh, right, okay.
and he messaged me, and he was like, "Do you want to put a comedy show on?" And it took me all of like half a second to be like, "Yeah,
Oh,
let."
that's good. So it didn't put you off too much. I mean, I think it's brilliant because obviously it's so local, it's right in the town as well.
Yeah,
And,
it's a
good part
beautiful
of town.
room as well. That
It
cellar bar.
is. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, definitely. It really is. And you say, I mean, trying to get sorting out all the acts and what have you, that's time consuming in itself, isn't it?
yeah,
And that fear that maybe someone might let you down. But the beauty of
yeah,
it being you is you could step in if you needed to, I suppose.
yeah. I mean, yeah. If needs be, I can always do a set. Like
Yeah. Do you have one
it's
ready just in case?
yeah. You've always got something in your back pocket, like just in case you have to try saying because it's my night as well. I could try a bit of new material, and if
Yeah.
everyone hates it, and be like, I don't care, it's my night.
Deal
Um, but
with it.
it's it's a good like I particularly enjoy this one because the last ones I did were very much it was a ticketed, so I was booking acts specifically that I knew were really good, which causes a bit of conflict on the circuit because there's people are like
Yeah.
want to get booked and like you don't want to be mean, but you're also like people are paying for
Yeah.
tickets. So this time around, I was like, I'm gonna do an open mic.
Yeah.
Um, and so for an open mic, it means anyone of any ability, like any level. Like if you've just started, great, you can come up, and if you're established, you can do all new material. And then I would make it's free entry,
Yeah.
like so. Um, and it's going really well. Like the first one was I had about 30 odd people in, and all the acts smashed it. This one, we've got nearly 45 seats booked.
Super.
So it's going really well, and it's great. I love seeing because I gig with some of these acts all the time. I see their like club set, their 10 minutes like all the
Yeah.
time. So to see their new material is fun.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. And when you've got your new material, I think you put a post on the other day about writing on your hands. Is that your way of little memories? And how and how often has that come off your hands and you've gone mid set? Oh, what was next?
uh, it, it's not an infallible process that like I still do it even with like if I'm doing paid gigs like and I'm doing my set that I know back to front, I will still write it on my hand because
Yeah,
I will have like every now and again I'll have a little panic on the stage and I'll forget where I am
yeah.
and I look down like. But yeah, the amount of times I've washed it off just before I've gone in. One time I wrote it with this particular ink, and just before I went on stage, I did that, and I just had ink all across my forehead. Um, so yeah,
Oh.
it's not an infallible process, but like it's a safety net, really.
Yeah, yeah,
Like and especially if like you say like it's new jokes, like just a couple of little taglines, tag words to sort of
yeah,
jog the memory like as to what the punchline is.
yeah.
Um, it does help, but you can't always go on with like a pad of paper.
No,
Like,
yeah, no.
it doesn't look great for like, especially if you're being paid.
Yeah, no, I've got to be honest. I had before now, I'm not going to say who it was, but they went on with a phone and was
Oh, I
banging.
hate
And
that. I do hate that.
yeah, it spoilt it for me as somebody who was paying. It did spoil it for
Mm.
me. So yeah, yeah, I still think the hand is the best one because then, or the wrist, so that
Yeah,
you can sort of do it without actually drawing attention to it, unless you wipe it across your head, obviously. But
yeah. I did have one guy. I did a show once, and I was looking at my. I had a couple of new bits like just in the middle, and I kept looking at my hand just to remind myself. And I came off, and this guy was like, "I don't know why you kept looking at your watch, mate." I was like, "Oh no, I wasn't." I think he thought, "Has this bloke got somewhere else to be?"
Yeah, yeah. Although, as someone who regularly goes to watch stand up, think that you often see a little bit of ink on the and I
Yeah,
completely get it because I've got a brain like a sieve and I would absolutely it would be up my arm. I would have to write everything down. But you do have to clock watch a little bit, especially at open mics,
yeah,
because you don't want to
yeah,
overrun because then you're taking somebody else's time. So
yeah,
it never bothers me if people look at their watch. I just think they're just time checking themselves. But
yeah. It's
he
yeah.
obviously was really offended.
Yeah, he just I don't know why he took like apparently it took him completely like he didn't like me, I don't think. I don't think like you can't win everyone.
No,
Like
no, which is
and I think
true.
he did
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, he didn't like my material and he thought I was looking at my watch. So I was like, all right.
So I'm right in saying it's this week, isn't it? At the Blue Boar.
The Blue Boar, yes,
Yeah.
it's on Thursday, and it's the first Thursday of every month.
Okay.
I've got throughout the year, every now and again, I'll also be doing pro shows.
Hmm.
Um, so which will be ticketed. This first one is the first Thursday of June,
Hmm.
and I have Diane Spencer headlining, and she is fantastic.
Yeah.
I've gigged with her a couple of times. She's like well on her way to becoming very well known,
Um,
and
yeah.
she's also one of the nicest people in comedy.
Oh no, yeah, and like you say, you've seen a lot of them going around on set on your doing the club scene and stuff and gigging. So
Yeah.
you can see it when they're on their way, which is great. Well, what about you? What's your dream gig?
Ooh,
Do you have one? Is there something you would love absolutely to tick your box for stand up?
yeah, I mean, I want to headline more shows.
Right, okay.
I've headlined once or twice. I'm not quite that. I get booked as an opener quite regularly, which is
Mhm.
nice. because the opener is a tough spot, but like promoters will book you if they think that you will get the night going and
Yeah.
you're right for it. So it's nice to get that. But I'd love to go back to the Comedy Store and do an actual set rather than the Gong show. um,
That's another one
and
I think is really harsh. So yeah, fair play on that one.
oh, it was horrendous. 1 minute and 8 seconds I lasted.
Oh.
Um, but it was before I gave up drinking and I was extremely drunk. That's what I'm blaming it on.
Oh,
Um,
God. Well,
but yeah, I'd love to do the Comedy Store again, like as a
yeah,
proper set.
yeah, 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 and possible. That's so possible with you, Lee. I mean, you've got a track record, like you say.
Yeah,
Hopefully the near future. We'll have to
well,
get you back
fingers
on
crossed.
for that then. We'll have to
Yeah,
get you. We'll
yeah,
get you back afterwards so we can see. You know, have a bit of a debrief.
yeah, definitely.
Any other gigs other than your own that you're doing, other than your open mic? Have you got anything else coming up in the next few weeks?
Yeah, I've got a few. I've got on Saturday, I'm in Totten at the Attic
Hmm.
um, with a couple of guys. A guy called Andy Fox is headlining. He's very, very good from Brighton. Again, like very much on his way. So I've got that one. And then on the 11th, I am in Southsea from my friend Shannon's gig, which I forget where it is. Oh, it's at the Southsea Irish Centre, I think. But
I love
that'll be
Southsea. Southsea is nice. Great place to go and do
yeah.
a gig. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've when I first started, it was like I was in Southsea every week. Like there was always another comedy gig there.
Yeah.
Like it's spread
It's
out
a
a
bit
lot more now, but
it's a bit of a mecca there, really, isn't it? There's a lot of
yeah,
comedy going on in Southsea. Yeah, I must admit, I've been there a few times just going to watch, obviously. You were
yeah.
like behind the scenes completely, really, for me. Anyway, Lee, thank you for coming on and chatting with me, and to let everyone know exactly what you're up to. It's just brilliant. It's just going from strength to strength and good luck with
Thanks, man.
everything else. And I hope to get across to the Blue Boar myself. But before I go, I just got to mention one thing. Train selfies. Train selfies.
Yeah.
They're your thing. They're so good. I reckon we need to challenge you. I reckon we should, I don't know, bike selfie, bonus points. I don't know,
Yeah.
tandem or a trike. Yeah.
I was thinking more
I love
extreme
them.
selfies.
Yeah, I
Like,
love it.
yeah, I don't
That's
know
when
how
I
they
know you're
became my
gigging.
thing. I get
Lee's
other
gigging.
comedians will take their pictures of themselves now and tag me in them. Like,
I do. I look forward to a train selfie, and it tells me where
wow.
you're going. But thank you ever so much. I know you're a busy man and you've got a lot going on, but all the very best with it. And like I say, we'll get you back, and
Thanks, man.
hopefully, Comedy Store, here we come, back on the set.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Thanks so much for having me,
All
Nat.
right,
This was fun.
I'll speak to you soon. All right,
Cheers.
bye.
Bye.